Here's something nobody talks about. Every single month you wait to buy a home, it could be costing you money. Not in some abstract, maybe someday way. Real dollars, right now. And I'm gonna show you exactly what that looks like with actual numbers. I'm Brian Scott Cohen, your mortgage guy. And today, we're breaking down the real cost of waiting 1 year to buy. Let's start with home prices. People always say, I'm waiting for prices to drop. And look, I get it. I understand the logic. But here's the reality in New York City and in most of the country. Prices don't really drop. U.S. home values have appreciated about 4% per year on average over the last 50 years. In New York City, that number is closer to 6%. So let's use a real example. Say you're looking at a $700,000 home today. If that home appreciates just 4% over the next year, that's a $28,000 price increase. So the home you could buy today for $700,000, next year it might cost you $728,000. That's $28,000 more before we even talk about anything else. And if you're putting 10% down, your down payment just went from $70,000 to $72,800. So you're saving up and the target keeps moving. Now let's talk about the other reason people wait. I'm holding out for lower rates. This is one I hear constantly, and I want to give you a real answer, not just tell you rates don't matter. They do matter. But here's the thing nobody tells you. If rates drop significantly, and I mean meaningfully, home prices are going to move up fast. Why? Because demand explodes. More buyers enter the market, competition goes up, and sellers know it. So the lower rate you were waiting for, it might come with a significantly higher purchase price. You could end up with the same monthly payment, or higher, just with a more expensive home underneath you. Let me show you what I mean. At $700,000 with 10% down, you're financing $630,000. At a 7% rate, your principal and interest payment is roughly $4,192 a month. No, rates dropped to 6.5%. But the home is now $728,000. You're financing $655,200. Your payment? About $4,142 a month. You saved $50 a month, but you spent $28,000 more on the home. And here's the key thing. You could always refinance if rates drop later. You can't go back and buy that home at last year's price. This is the part that really gets people. When you're renting, every single payment you make goes to someone else's equity. When you own, every payment you make is building yours. Let's go back to that $700,000 home. In year one alone, at a 7% rate with 10% down, you'd pay down roughly $8,000 to $10,000 in principal, depending on your exact loan terms. Add in 4% appreciation, that's nearly $38,000 in equity built in the first year. Meanwhile, if you're renting at $3,500 a month, which is pretty standard for a one-bedroom in a lot of NYC neighborhoods, you spent $42,000 this year, and you own nothing. That's not a judgment. Renting makes sense for a lot of people in a lot of situations. But if buying is your goal, the math on waiting gets really painful really fast. One more thing I want you to think about. There's also the opportunity cost of your down payment sitting in savings. If you have $70,000 set aside for a down payment and you wait a year, even if you're earning 5% in a high-yield savings account, that's $3,500 in interest. But if the home went up $28,000 in value, you missed a 40% return on that $70,000. No savings account beats that. Now, real estate isn't guaranteed. Nothing is. And I always want to be straight with you about that. But the historical trend in this market is clear, and the cost of waiting is real. So what should you do? Step 1, get pre-approved. Know exactly what you can afford right now. Step 2, run your numbers with someone who actually knows this market. That's what I do every single day. If you're thinking about buying in the next 6 to 12 months, let's talk. I'll show you exactly what waiting is costing you in your specific situation with your specific numbers. Link is in the description. Let's get you moving. I'm Brian Scott Cohen, your mortgage guy. I'll see you in the next one.